Good evening and welcome back to Mo's channel. It's been a wild summer so far, ain't it, motherfucker? Black Lives Matter, you did a hell of a job. Congratulations, keep it up. That's what we need. Thank you for your effort. Thank you for your commitment. All those protesters that were out there for the past 2 weeks, thank you. Words cannot express my gratitude, so I'll just say thank you. And I hope you understand and feel the depth of my gratitude. Thank you. There's been a lot of talk circulating about defund the police, defund the police. So what I want to do right now in this video, I want to take some time and talk about just what defunding the police would mean, and more importantly, I want to talk about what is really needed. Not just police reforms, but a reform of the criminal justice system. The reason I say that is because if there is one organ of government that has been responsible for the greatest degree of oppression of black people, it is the criminal justice system. When a black man gets lynched and his next of kin have no recourse, the white men that lynched that black man walk away. That is the criminal justice system. When a black slave runs away and the slave patrol is sent to capture him, and when he's brought back, he is brutalized by his master and he has no recourse. That is a criminal justice system. When a black man with 1 gram of cocaine, which has been processed into crack cocaine, gets a harsher sentence than a white man with 10 kilograms of cocaine, that is a criminal justice system. If anything, the criminal justice system has been the most racist system in the American system of governance. Say what you might about Obama. But the most strategic, intelligent thing that Obama did when he was president is to appoint Eric Holder as Attorney General. Because the person, the office, the entity that is most responsible for the criminal justice system in this nation is the Department of Justice. And the Attorney General overseeing that Department of Justice has significant leeway into how the criminal justice system impacts the citizens of America. So I want to start off by talking about the police. And forgive me for doing this Fred Flintstone style. Essentially, and not to boast, because it's nothing to boast about, I've had a lot of fucking encounters with the police since I was fucking 13 years old. I've had a lot of fucking encounters with the police. I've been to court many times. I've been to jail, but I've never been to prison. And that's a difference. So I could speak about these things. Now, typically, it all starts off with a police encounter. And these are the elements of that police encounter. I don't know if you could see that. Essentially, you have the pre-traffic stop. That's before the policeman pulls you over. At that point, the policeman looks at you in your car and makes a judgment. Should I pull this person over? You might have been speeding. You might have failed to yield to a left turn signal or something. You might have not put your signal on when turning, as did that woman in Texas. But for some reason, the police decides to pull you over. At this point, 50% of the police incidents could be avoided. Why? If the police looks at you, a black man, and you fail to use your right turn signal, but you cause no threat, you pose no danger, and you make that right turn, and the policeman decides to pull you over, whereas if it had been a white person, the police would not have pulled them over. Right there is where the problem starts, at the traffic stop. So now, you're pulled over. The police comes up to you. The police cannot search your car. They cannot even walk by your back window as they're walking to you, the passenger, and flash their flashlight into the back seat of your car unless they have reasonable suspicion. So this is where things start to get out of hand. The policeman approaches you. His demeanor as he's speaking to you. And this is where the big difference between white traffic stops and black traffic stops comes in. If it's a black man, the police will have you step out and sit on the curb. Or they'll have you do some other shit. They might even take you and detain you and put you in the back of their vehicle. If it is a white individual, none of that will happen. After this encounter, from my understanding, not experience, from my understanding in speaking to white people who have been pulled over for similar offenses as me. In the case of the white person, the policeman might not even ask for ID, might not even run that white person's ID, and will more likely than not give that white person a warning and tell them, go your way. In the case of a black person, the policeman will run that person's ID, and then they will decide to search that person's vehicle. If they find nothing, they will give that black person a ticket. So right there, the pre-traffic stop, the traffic stop, and then the post-traffic stop. You have a lot of systemic racism embedded. Let's move on. Before we move on, let's go to that traffic stop. If they pulled you over for speeding or no registration or a broken taillight or something, minor shit. But they take your ID as they do in the case of most black people. They don't do that for all white people. Well, but with black people, they do that. And they run your information. And guess what? You had a court date 2 months ago. You didn't show up. So now guess what? You have a bench warrant for your arrest. So now you get arrested. Your car gets towed. And it's going to cost you at least $300 to get your car out. And the bench warrant was for running a stop sign. And you forgot. And you didn't show up to court. So now you go into jail. If you want to get out that night so you can go to work in the morning, you have to pay $800 bond. The white person who was let go does not have to go through that. Let's move on. The criminal justice system. Once again, forgive my Fred Flintstonic style. There you go. I hope you can see that. Essentially, it starts off with the police. They arrest an individual. You get arrested, you get taken to city jail or county jail. Hopefully, the next morning, you go to court for arraignment. At arraignment, the prosecutor says, oh, well, yeah, judge, this guy did blah, 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 and these are the charges, blah, 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 blah. And the judge asks, what bond? And the prosecutor might say $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, or OR, own recognizance, which means that you're giving your word that you're going to come back to trial, or they'll issue a bench warrant for you. The problem with bonding is that typically you have to post 10% of the bond amount. So if the judge sets a bond at $100,000, you have to post $10,000. But you need collateral. If it's a bond that big, you need collateral. So you'll need to have someone that owns a home or some kind of securitization that the bond dealer can lay claim to if you don't show up to court. Most black people that are pulled over don't own a home, so they can't post bond. So what happens? You sit in jail. You sit in jail until your trial date. The trial date might not be for 3 months down the road. And the trial itself might take 6 months. So for every day of those 6 months that you are not convicted of a crime, you are sitting in jail. And after 6 months, if it turns out that you're not guilty, you're free to go. But they do not compensate you for those 6 months of your life that you lost. After the trial comes a verdict. Now, once upon a time, the judges could decide on their own what an appropriate sentence would be given the circumstances. But then you have the U.S. Sentencing Commission, which makes recommendations for sentences based on offense and prior criminal history. So, once again, during this sentencing period, racial bias might come into play. And it might come into play whereby a certain individual who may be white and has a certain history may receive a lower sentence than another individual who may be black and has a less criminal history. And then, of course, you go to prison. Fortunately, I've never been to prison. I've been to jail, not prison. In prison, you're nothing. Zero. Nothing. You are nothing in prison. You are worse than a fucking slave in prison. You have no rights in prison. You are nothing. After your stint in prison, you go up to the parole board. Might be 5 years. It says, all right, you're eligible for parole in 10 years, in 5 years. So after your 10 years of your sentence, you go up to the parole board. Plead your case. They might grant you parole. They might not. If they don't, you got to wait till the next year. Come back again. Once again, that might be a juncture where racism is imbued in the system. So just a quick recap before we start talking about reforms. Initial police encounter. The places where racism may be present. The pre-traffic stop. When that policeman driving along or stopped at a street light makes a decision, I'm going to pull that person over as opposed to that person. The traffic stop. How the policeman interacts with the individual that they've pulled over. The search. Whether and when the policeman makes a decision to search that vehicle. The arrest. Whether and when the policeman makes the decision to arrest that individual. These are all junctures of which racism could play a part and which could easily spill out of control and lead to police brutality or police killing. If we look at the criminal justice system and identify where racism might play a role, we already spoke to the police. The arraignment. That's where the bond is set. That's where the prosecutor might decide, I want a $100,000 bond on him, I want a $20,000 bond on him. The ability to bond out of jail based on one's economic circumstances. If it's a $1,000 bond, $5,000 bond, most likely the bondsman won't want collateral. Give him 10%. Over $10,000, they'll want to see some fucking collateral. Most black people that are arrested cannot furnish that collateral. Hence, they have to spend the entirety of their trial period in jail. An innocent man, innocent until proven guilty, right? So an innocent man who has not yet been proven guilty is sitting in a jail cell, losing out on their lifetime. Sentencing. Once again, you got 1 kilo of pure cocaine. You've got 2 grams of crack cocaine. You get 10 years. You get 1 year. Discrimination. So let's talk about defunding the police. But in order to talk about what defunding the police is about, let's talk about what the police actually do in society besides killing black people. Well, police responsibilities are to maintain order. What do I mean by maintain order? That means that I can't go out there and rob this bank, rob that bank, rob that bank. I can't go out there and beat this person up and shoot that person, stab that person. I can't go out there and steal this car and rob from that store and rob from that liquor store. I can't do that shit because that is creating a disorderly environment which is not functional. So that is one of their responsibilities, to maintain order in society such that society can function. They also have a responsibility of enforcing laws. Now, these laws may come from the legislative branch of government, city councils, state legislatures, House of Representatives, U.S. Senate. They may come from regulatory agencies, EPA, Department of Commerce, Department of Treasury, the IRS, HUD, or they may come from the judiciary in the form of precedents. Go study case law and you'll know what I'm talking about. So the police are there to enforce the laws that are made into statutes by these bodies. Thirdly, the police are there to provide stipulated assistance to the public. You might have large events, maybe a concert is going on, you need someone to direct traffic, to handle parking, to ensure the safety of the individuals at that event. You might have a traffic light being changed, being repaired. You might have a traffic light that's not working, that fell down, that got struck by lightning. You might have trees in the road, and the police are there to direct traffic, to ensure traffic keeps flowing. And then lastly, the police are there to respond to emergencies. We're sitting here, bam, a building blows up downtown, some kind of bomb. People are dying, there's fires, all kinds of crazy mayhem. The police are there to keep shit in order. That's their job. That's their responsibility. So if you talk about eliminating the police, then you have to ask yourself, given these things the police are supposed to do. Now, make no mistake, I do not love the police. I hate the fucking police. From the age of 10, I've been dealing with fucking police. I do not love police. I would like to see police vanish more than anyone, but you have to use common sense. So, if you eliminate the police, can you maintain order? If there's no fucking police, what is to stop me from going out there and robbing every fucking bank that I want? What is to stop me? The security guard in the bank? As soon as I walk in, pop, 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 he's gone. I killed the security guard. I walk up to the tellers, knowing their little alarm that calls the police don't work because there's no police. I get all the money I want. What's to stop me from walking up to you in the middle of the street and I'm bam, 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 beat the shit out of you for no reason? I just want to beat the shit out of you. What's to stop me? What's to stop me from robbing all liquor stores? Nothing. So, maintaining order, maintaining a functional society would be virtually impossible without the police. Virtually impossible. And I've been a criminal since I was a kid. And this is a criminal telling you. You get rid of police, you're going to have one fucked up society. As far as enforcing laws, well, what laws are we talking about? Speeding, registration for your vehicle, having insurance for your vehicle, jaywalking, little stupid laws like these. In all honesty, and if police were honest about this, it is a waste of time. It is a waste of time. It is a waste of resources to have police running around trying to find out who has a broken taillight, who didn't signal when they made a turn, who has expired registration. That's bullshit. So, as far as enforcing laws, we don't need the police to do that. If you're dealing with drug laws, you have the DEA that can handle that. Other crimes like kidnapping, arson, burglary, you have the FBI that could deal with that. So you don't need the police to enforce the laws. As far as providing public assistance, events, infrastructure repairs, emergency response, you don't really need the police to do that. So in conclusion, the only valid need for police is to maintain order, to respond to crimes, and to prevent crimes. Now, in terms of traffic citations, if you really think about it, registration, insurance, driver's license, speeding, little traffic infractions, all of those benefit the municipality. When you get pulled over for speeding, that money factors into the revenue of that city. You had a fix-it ticket, you didn't signal when turning, that factors into the revenue of that city. Now, one thing that I would promote the police to be out there for is drunk drivers. That's the only traffic situation that should involve the police. If they see someone swerving, pull them over. Because I'd rather you arrest that motherfucker than that drunk motherfucker go driving down a little street and run over some little girl on a fucking bicycle. But as far as all these traffic, first of all, Let's get rid of registration. Your driver's license, you get that, renew it every 10 years. Insurance, let's revisit that. All right? But these should not be finable offenses, because that is only serving to fatten the pockets of the city. So number one, eliminate all traffic citations except for speeding and drunk driving. And when I say speeding, you're going 20 miles over the speed limit. If you get a ticket, so eliminate traffic courts. If you get a ticket, pay it online. If you don't pay it online, it's going to factor into your tax return or something. They'll get their money somehow. All right? Get rid of all bench warrants. Because if you eliminate traffic court, then I don't have to show up to court. If I don't have to show up to court, I'm not going to get a bench warrant. That alone will eliminate a lot of fucking arrests. You get rid of all of that, you're going to see a significant drop in police brutality and police killings, because a majority of police encounters start off with a traffic stop. And if police are not pulling me over for expired registration or insurance or a busted tail light or a tail light not working or blah, 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 and I ain't got no warrants on me and police cannot run my fucking plates, you're going to eliminate about 80% of police-related shootings. 80%. As far as misdemeanors, eliminate all jail time for misdemeanors. If it is a repeat offense, so like shoplifting is a misdemeanor. So if I go to store A and I'm caught shoplifting, I go to court, gotta pay a fine, whatever. I go to store B, 1 month later I'm shoplifting again. I go to store C, a month later I'm shoplifting. So within 4 months, I've come to court on shoplifting charges. Well, what you do is you not elevate that to a low-class felony. Theft. That low-class felony might carry 3 months in jail. But all misdemeanors, no jail time. All misdemeanors, no court appearance. You make it a virtual trial. And then you reduce the fees related to misdemeanors. If you fail to pay that fee, you're given a period of time. So if I'm supposed to pay a $3,000 fee, this is June, I'm supposed to pay that fee by the end of August. I fail to pay by the end of August, I'm given 3 months, September, till the end of November. Within those 3 months, I could either make arrangements or start making some kind of payment. If after those 3 months I have not fulfilled my obligations to the state, then what the state says is, all right, look, it looks like you can't pay this off, so we're going to make you work this off. And you have day jail. In day jail, I show up at 5 in the morning and I'm in jail till 7 at night. During that period of time, I'm doing work for the state. In doing that work, I'm working to pay off my fine. It might take me a month to do that work and pay off that fine. But after that month, my case is dismissed because I have satisfied my obligation to the state. I'm losing my daytime, but I'm sleeping home at night. You don't have overcrowded jails. And after I've paid that off, it goes off my record. Felonies. Now, felonies, yes, they should go to court trial. You killed someone. You robbed a liquor store, gunpoint, give me that money, bitch. Aggravated assault, beat the fucking shit out of someone. And so on. You go to trial. Speedy trial. The entire trial should take no more than 2 months. So if you're in jail because you can't bond out, you're in there for no more than 2 months. Public defenders are overworked. It is very hard to get a fair trial when you're relying on a public defender. They are not bad people. They try their best, but they are over fucking worked and underpaid. We need to enhance the public defender system. We need to pay these people better. And we need to give them more support such that they can better represent their clients. So that's the first thing. Let's improve the public defender program. Number 2, if I was caught with 50 dimes of crack, intent to distribute, no violence related to that, I should not have to pay $100,000, $1 million bond. Set my bond at $10,000. And every week, I got to report in to the PO. If I don't report in for 2 weeks consecutive, yes, then lock me up and set my bond to $100,000. But as long as I'm coming in to see the PO every day, I'm not engaged in the same activities that got me in this situation, then I should not be sitting in jail waiting for a trial. So in cases that don't involve violence, reduce the bonds significantly. Speedy trials. Yes, they do offer you speedy trial when you get locked up, but a lot of times that speedy trial might take 6 months. So no case should take more than 2 months unless the defender wants it to take longer than that. Sentencing. Number 1, kill the 1994 crime bill. Kill it. That 3 strikes shit, kill it. There's more black men in jail than there is black men in college. That is fucked up. How the fuck you gonna build a race off the back of people who spent all their lives in jail? You take kids, 18, 19 years old, fucked up one day, decided I'm gonna rob a liquor store. Didn't kill nobody. Shaky kid, shaky, but he's not fucked up. Just a little bit confused. 18, 19 years old. You take that kid, put him in prison with hardened criminals who've been in there for 10, 15, 20 years. What the fuck you think is going to happen when that kid comes out 5 years later? You've taken a kid that could have been transformed and turned them into a hardened fucking criminal. We need to review the sentencing guidelines. If you got a 19-year-old kid, first-time offender, otherwise been a decent kid, armed robbery, did not kill anybody, yes, send a message to that kid. But that message is not 10 years. Give him 5 years with possibility of parole in 2 or 3 years. We don't need young black men spending the majority of their youth in jail and transforming into hardened criminals. We don't need that. Their lives, their black lives, matter too. When we look at the prison system, before I say anything else, eliminate all for-profit prisons. Get rid of all of them. The Constitution, in abolishing slavery, allowed for certain conditions wherein a man may work and not get paid for his labor. And one of those conditions is if that man is in the custody of the state. Having a human being imprisoned by a private entity is unconstitutional. So we need to eliminate all private prisons effective immediately. Within prison, I robbed a liquor store. I beat a man to near death. I committed a crime. I'm doing my time. I'm still a human being. A fucked up human being, but I'm still a human being. We need to eliminate all the rapes in prisons. We need to eliminate all the violence and the killing in prisons. And we need to provide for sanitary and safe conditions in these prisons. Yes, they're criminals. Yes, they've committed crimes. Aside from rape, aside from premeditated murder, which is murder 3, aside from child molesters, the rest of them are human beings. Let's give them some dignity. They shouldn't be walking around worrying about, am I going to get raped? Am I going to get shanked? Am I going to get beat down? Am I going to get sick and die in here? That is inhumane, and we need to end that. I go into prison. I probably had a fucked up background. Grew up in a fucked up way. Have a fucked up mentality. I should come out of prison a better man who can contribute as opposed to taking from society. Prisons are not structured to turn me into a better man. So let us introduce psychological counseling in prisons. If I'm mad at the world, if I've had to deal with all this crazy shit, I've seen my childhood friends shot in front of me, my older brother got shot in front of me, my daddy got locked up, my mom all strung up on crack. I'm fucked up. I am fucked up. Everyone around me is fucked up. Within the 5 years that I'm locked up, provide me with psychological counseling such that that fucked up shit in my head may be eliminated. So when I come out, I am no longer fucked up. Most of the people that wind up locked up, they're not your doctors, your lawyers, your engineers, your architects, your accountants. A lot of them don't have a high school education. Most of them don't have a college education. It's the circumstance they grew up in. I grew up in that circumstance. I was fortunate. I could play sports. I could play music. I could create music. Those abilities helped me move up and get out of there. Others are not so fortunate. So you got me locked up. I got no education. I got no skills, nothing. Career development. Educational opportunities. I go in. I didn't graduate high school. I'm in for 5 years. Let me have a bachelor's degree when I walk out. A bachelor's degree in accounting, engineering, something that I could get a job in. I was selling drugs. I was robbing people before I got in here, making maybe $3,000-$4,000 a month. Now I got this bachelor's degree. I don't have to deal with police, with other niggas, and I'm gonna make $5,000-$6,000 a month. Why the fuck do I want to go back to that lifestyle? Give them incentive to leave that life alone. Give them tools to succeed once they get out. And then personal development. Help me develop as an individual. Help me to learn how to relate to other people, to communicate, to sell myself. Social skills. See, prison right now is just a box. You take a criminal, you put him in that box, and after a period of time, you get a worse criminal out the other end. Transform prison. Make that box transformative. You put a criminal in that box. When they come out that box, they are a productive citizen. They are now contributing to society. Finally, as relates to prison, eliminate background checks. Eliminate background checks. I committed a crime. I did my time. Why am I still suffering after doing my time? Isn't that what prison is for? A form of repentance? I did wrong. I repent. Forgive me. Can I now come back and resume my life? But background checks. background checks is why so many of these motherfucking felons go back to a life of crime, because you don't give them an opportunity to get back on their feet. The only job I could get is $10 an hour, $12 an hour. I got 2-3 kids to feed. What the fuck do you expect me to do? So eliminate background checks. Make background checks unconstitutional. Except if I'm going to be handling money or merchandise. Then do a background check. Did I steal in the past? Am I a thief? Then you might not want me in that job. But don't deny these men and women who've paid their dues and just want to go on and live their lives. I know a lot of felons, ex-felons. I know a lot of them. They don't want to go back to that shit. They don't want nothing to do with that shit. They just want to live a righteous life. But background checks stand in their way. Listen. In 1994, they passed a huge crime reform bill. In 2020, this is what I urge Congress to do. This is what I urge state governors to do. This is what I urge state legislatures to do. Not just police reform, criminal justice reform. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. God bless. Good night. If you got a blunt, roll it up. Smoke it. If you got some booze, some alcohol, drip it, sip it. If you got some cocaine, flush that shit down the toilet. If you got some crack, flush that shit down the toilet. If you got some pills, flush them shits down the toilet. If you got some meth, flush that shit down the toilet. If you got an evil heart, if you got a dirty heart, if you got a bad heart, go talk to the reverend or the imam or the rabbi. They might help you. The end of the world is not here yet. Not yet. Down the road, but not yet. So until then, either we're going to kill each other or we're going to build together. Your choice. God bless. Good motherfucking night.